Hello, I'm Senator Sam Thompson, and I want to talk to you about the results of some recent audits of the city of Newark that were done by the state's comptroller. He released two reports very recently, one in which he looked at the operation of the city government and the mayor and council, the other in which he looked at the operation of the Newark Watershed Development and Conservation Corporation, which was established by the city and is funded by the city. Newark receives over $100 million a year in subsidies from state and federal government to help run their government. So it's taxpayer dollars, not just from Newark, but all over the state that's being used there. And these reports show there's a tremendous amount of waste and abuse and fraud taking place there. As a consequence of those reports, I had issued a request to, a few months ago, of course, a special legislative investigative panel was established, which has been looking at what is termed Bridgegate. I have requested that the chair and the co-chair launch an investigation of the city of Newark and its waste and expenditure of taxpayer dollars based on the results of these reports. Thus, first, just talking about the city council and the mayor, they found that they get over $545,000 a year to pay for their personal incidentals and expenses, which they don't have to account for. I mean, whether you're talking meals, hotels, or what, they don't have to give any backup to show why you're spending it. They just get this money, over $500,000 a year for their personal expenses. When you get to the Watershed Corporation there, which they established, that's really an amazing tale there. According to the comptroller's report, over a period of several years, the executive director there was supposed to receive a pay of $1.1 million. And the payroll outfit that handles this gave her payroll checks for $1.1 million. His report says that in addition to that, she personally wrote and signed checks to herself from the payroll account for an additional $800,000. Additionally, at one point in time, several years ago, she received a severance package of over $200,000. There's some question whether or not she was not working there for 3 weeks, although, again, according to his report, she received paychecks for those 3 weeks. So she continued working there. 2 years later, she got a new severance package of over $400,000. Additionally, she gave out no-bid contracts to her former husband, who would indicate to her, well, sometimes she was having cash flow problems, so you'd like her to pay her in advance for work that he hadn't done yet, which she would. Other times she'd indicate, make the checks for me personally rather than my corporation, which she would. She gave out another no-bid contract for over $300,000 to a person to do landscaping on the watershed there. And after he got the contract, he went out and bought equipment, so he had a company to fulfill the contract. I mean, it's kind of unusual to give a contract to somebody that doesn't have a business going before you give it to them. She utilized corporate funds for margin trading, which on the market, which she should not do. She lost $500,000, according to the comptroller's report, with margin trading. She reported to the board of directors that interest from the stocks was being utilized to fund things when actually she lost $500,000. Now, this corporation was supposed to be overseen by a board of trustees, which, when the city established this corporation, they said there should be 7 to 11 members on this board of trustees. The mayor was to serve as an ex officio member of this board of trustees and as chairman. And of course, we know for a number of years that mayor was Cory Booker, our current U.S. Senator. Mayor Booker never attended a meeting. He did appoint his business administrator there to attend meetings for him, but that business administrator resigned in 2010, and nobody attended the meetings. Now, did Cory Booker know what was going on here, or did he not? Or did he not want to know? Now, we have to say that, again, the executive director was a close political ally of the mayor. And in fact, when I talked about the no-bid contract to this guy for $300,000 for landscaping, it indicates again in the comptroller's report, that this guy met the executive director at a political rally or something or other. That's where it came from. So exactly what was going. In fact, the general counsel here for the corporation was a fellow named Leonardo Webster, who also is a close ally of the mayor. He sat there silent while all this stuff was going on. He said nothing, no problems related to the stock market tradings that was being done there. In fact, the comptroller points out that according to the papers of the corporation, for the corporation, they had to have a minimum of 7 members. They never had 7 members there. They passed their resolutions and so on with only 3 members present. This suggests none of their regulations were legal as a consequence. But Webster sat there, did nothing. Interesting, recently, once the comptroller came up with this information about the stock market losses, within 2 weeks, the city voted to dissolve the corporation. It's not dissolved yet. That's been ongoing for about a year. A very interesting court case was heard just in the last week, in which Leonardo Webster's partner in his law firm was appearing in court requesting another $1 million from the city of Newark to finish dissolving the corporation and to conduct a forensic audit of what took place here. Well, in my opinion, since Webster was the general counsel while all this was taking place, instead of Angelo Genova, the attorney partner, needing, they would collect $700,000 out of this $1 million they're looking for. Instead of needing $700,000 to find out what took place, he should just walk across the hall and talk to his partner, Webster, who was there all the time it was taking place, and ask him for nothing without paying how it happened. I think that'd be the answer to this thing. But again, I have put in this request for an investigation by the Special Legislative Commission, and I've been joined in that request by Senator Ron Rice, the Democrat senator from Newark. He has been trying to get an investigation not only of the watershed and the council, but many other independent authorities and so on they have in Newark, maintaining, again, these kind of rip-offs are going throughout the city. So he has joined me in my call for a special investigation by our legislative panel of this. The only response I've had from the chairman of the legislative panel, Sam Wisniewski, is, well, we're focused on Bridgegate, and we'll think about that later. I think they should be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. They meet on this thing maybe once a month or so. They have people available. There's no reason they couldn't get into this. And certainly the amount of taxpayer money being wasted and stolen, et cetera, here, the significance of that is far more significant over what happened when traffic was snarled on the GWB for 4 days. In fact, that traffic snarl is gone, but perhaps the misappropriation of our funds is continuing on a day-to-day basis, and we really need to be looking into that.